Welcome back to the channel for LearnGameWriting.com. I'm Drew McGee, and in this video, we're going to be talking about a practice that I find invaluable for dialogue writing in particular. Now, I'm going to want you to practice along and give it a shot, so get ready and let's get started. And cue that opening animation. We don't have one? Oh, okay. All right. We're just going to keep rolling. So the practice that I find invaluable is what I like to call tracing. Now, if you think back to school days, this is art class, right? Where you put a piece of paper down over another image, you get your pencil and you closely follow the lines and try to stay with what the original piece of art looked like. And after a few minutes of straining your eyes and trying to see exactly where that line leads, you hold it up and voila, you have a pretty good replication of what the original piece of art was, right? You have it on this piece of paper and you can say, aha, I have created art. Now, you can't really put that into a commercial product and sell it because of something called copyright infringement, but you can take the lessons learned from tracing that image and start getting that muscle memory and start understanding how lines connect and how form is created on a page. So these lessons that you learn from a piece of tracing paper can also be applied to writing. If you don't believe me, let me show you. I'd like you to find a show, a movie, or a game that you absolutely love. And I want you to skip ahead to a scene or a moment in that game that you just find phenomenal, right? Where the dialogue is literally pause this video and do it. Find your favorite show, movie, or game. And while you're at it, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button below and hit the bell notification so you know when my next video drops. All right, now that you found your scene, go grab a pen and a piece of paper or pull out your phone or switch to another browser window and start copying the dialogue in that scene word for word. Write down what the actors are saying or what text appears on the screen verbatim. Here, I'm tracing an early scene from the first episode of Cobra Kai Season 1. I'm using a piece of software for screenwriting called Fade In, which I'll link below. But you can create the same formatting in something free like Google Docs. In this scene, two main characters are, for the first time, discussing the premise of the entire show, namely, reopening the Cobra Kai dojo. Miguel believes learning karate from Johnny would keep his school bullies at bay, and he plants the seed of becoming a sensei in a desperate Johnny's mind. But of course, Johnny initially refuses the call to action. Make sure to take notes on what's happening in the scene that's not particularly dialogue, right? The non-verbal cues, a silent shrug, or a thoughtful, ponderous look. If you're tracing a game scene, are there moments of interaction that the player needs to participate in? You're basically recreating the script the actors or game writers were originally working with. And you're practicing writing dialogue that you know works. How do you know? Because you chose a scene you love. So what are you actually learning when you trace a dialogue scene like this? You're picking up on the flow of dialogue. And by listening to it, by hearing it and writing it down at the same time, you're sort of etching this into your brain. It becomes a skill that you're practicing and getting better at. You're also picking up on the length of dialogue lines and the believability or authenticity of the dialogue and the importance of what each character is saying. Now, you're also learning what is not being said. Remember when I had you write down the notes about what's happening in the scene other than what's being spoken? That is the context of the scene that often gives the dialogue its punch. Punch. Now that you've done this once, I want you to repeat this over and over with different scenes from different shows or books or movies or comics or video games. The more you practice this, the better you will become, guaranteed. In Cobra Kai terms, this would be practicing your katas or your forms. And for a bit more of a game writing specific practice, take a look at this scene, especially if it's from a film or a show, and think about which character the player would inhabit if this were turned into a video game. Now, regardless of the film, show, or game that you've just traced, pick a different character on the screen. Remember, it's a dialogue, so there should at least be two of them. What if that other character was the player character? What would happen in the scene? How would the dialogue change to make the player still feel like the protagonist with all the agency to move the plot and change the action? So which scene did you choose? I'm curious. Leave it in the comments section below. If you want to put it into action, go to the link on the screen and download my free PDF to get started in game writing today. Also, if you're relatively new to the topic of game writing, watch the short series of my videos linked here. This will give you a pretty good foundational understanding of what we're talking about in all of these videos. So that's it for this one. If you have any questions about the practice of tracing your favorite dialogue scenes, leave it in the comments section below.